Father-in-law, sir, please, do you think now is about the time? When I scratched the back of my head and asked my father-in-law to allow us to marry, as she's old enough now, the answer is, without fail, "You fool, still gotta grow up a little more if you want to have your wedding." The person he's talking about who has to grow up isn't me, actually. It's Jung-soon, my bride-to-be. I've worked at his house for free for no less than 3 years and 7 months. Still, he claims that she's not grown enough yet, so I really have no idea when she's gonna be the right size. If he says that I need to work harder or maybe I should eat less, I've got a lot to say, since he complains about my eating too much all the time. But when he says that Jung-soon is still too young and she's gotta grow up more, then I really feel at a loss. I just don't know what to do. So I realized that this contract was flawed from the beginning. I should have made an agreement about the set period, 2 or 3 years, before I began to work for him. He'd just mentioned giving us a wedding when his daughter was of age, but how was I supposed to know when that would happen unless I kept an eye on her all the time? And since I thought people only grew taller, how was I supposed to know there were people whose bodies only grew sideways? I trusted that my father-in-law would take care of us when the time came, and so I just worked obediently without complaint. So then, shouldn't he appreciate me a little more and say, "Oh, wow, you have worked so much. Now, looks like it's time for that wedding of yours." And then offer to set us up in a separate family. I'd be happy then, right? Instead, he plays innocent and makes a big fuss, if I should say something like that. I'm his live-in son-in-law in name only, and I don't feel like keeping up this work senselessly. Pointless. That's what I feel like this has become. How stupid I've been. Just waiting and waiting forever for Jung-soon to get a little bigger. One day, I felt so frustrated that I tried to measure her weight with a ruler myself. But father-in-law said that we should avoid the opposite sex, manners and all, so we can't even stand face to face to chat. Whenever I run into her on our way to and from the well, I try to size her up by eye. Every time I walk a few paces, I spit on a ridge between the rice fields and I say, "Shit, what a size." No matter how favorably I try to size her up, she always only comes up to about my armpit, though I'm a bit taller than most other people. That's just how big she is. Wild dogs and pigs are growing, and growing quickly. Why can't people grow this way? I racked my brain about it for a while. I thought, her bones must be shrinking because she carries a water jar on her head all the time. I've secretly carried water for her before she did. Also, whenever I went to gather firewood, I offer a rock to the shrine of a tutelary deity and pray over and over again, "Please grow Jung-soon taller. Next time, I'll offer rice cakes." Still, that good-for-nothing height of hers stays the same. That's why I argued with the father-in-law, not because I hate him or anything. I was transplanting rice seedlings and I thought about the situation again, and I couldn't help feeling like it was pointless. What was the point of my planting rice seedlings unless Jung-soon would grow up on the rice grown out of them? I didn't want to plant them to fill father-in-law's ever-bulging belly. Never realizes he's overeating. Says that's because of his stomach trouble. That belly. Oh, my stomach! In the middle of moving the rice seedlings, I rub my belly and clamber over a ridge between the rice fields. Then dropping the winnowing basket I had under my arm, I sat down plump. 'Cause no matter how busy the work is, you can't do a thing if you got a stomachache. How can a sick person work? I pulled a handful of green grass and rubbed it on my leg to rid myself of a leech, watching father-in-law's face. Father-in-law glared at me for a while from the middle of a rice paddy. Then he said, "You little, what's the matter with you again, huh?" "Got a stomachache." Then I lay down on the grass, which irritated father-in-law. Why, he went splashing through the rice paddy all the way to the ridge, grabbed me by the collar, and slapped me across my face. "You son of a bitch, so you gonna stop working and try to ruin me? You deserve a knock to the head." When you get him angry, father-in-law can have some very loose fists. Also, what kind of father-in-law calls his own son-in-law names? He's so foul-mouthed that villagers say that anyone who hasn't been called names by him won't live long. He lost the hearts of so many villagers that even the littlest children call him Foul-Mouthed Peel. His name is Bong Peel, behind his back. Speaking of losing villagers' hearts, more than his habit of calling people names, he really lost the love of the villagers with his work as the supervisor of Chambong-be's tenant farms. It's usually expected for a supervisor of a tenant farm to be foul-mouthed and violent, to look like a stoutly built hairy dog, but father-in-law really fit the bill. If a tenant farmer didn't occasionally send a chicken or two, or offer free labor during the initial weeding season, he was sure to lose his farm under father-in-law's supervision that fall. "I'm leaving," I said. "I'll take my total pay now, all right?" "You came to us as my son-in-law, not as my farm servant, right?" "If that's the case, you've got to marry us soon. You just keep writing me day and night, giving me the same promise over and over again." "Well, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that that bitch isn't growing up." He was just singing the same ambiguous song over and over again, filling his pipe with tobacco. When we argue like that, it's always me who ends up on the losing side. But I decided then and there that this time things would be different. I pulled him by the sleeve, insisting that we negotiate through the village headman's arbitration process. "Ugh, you! How dare you do this to your elder!" Although he held out and yelled at me, as he pleased, it wasn't a match for me in strength. After working me hard and still refusing me his daughter, how dare he yell at me now? Still, I wasn't acting this way because I hated my father-in-law. The day before yesterday, I'd have tilled a slash and burn field alone atop the hill across Cedar Ridge, hadn't I? Whenever I turned around the edge of that field, a strange, flowery fragrance pierced my nose, and the bees went buzzing over my head. It was a remote mountain area where you can only hear spring water from between rocks. The spring sun in the clear sky seemed to cover me like a comforter. It was warm and like a dream. I felt as if I was getting ill from fatigue, although I wasn't sure if it was really an illness. Iroi, Mari, Mom, Mama. If I sang like that and worked my cow, ordinarily I would dance with my shoulders moving up and down, but for some reason I felt dispirited and irritated before I even finished half of the tilling work. So I bit innocent cow and said, "Anya, Anya, you rotten cow," because she was father-in-law's. "I'll break your legs." But I was angry, not really with Anya, but because I saw how small Jumsoon still was when she brought me my lunch atop her head.